Christy Davenport, Management Assistant. I just am coming before you with our annual longevity memo. Usually we offer a little something to show our appreciation to the employees that have been here for 10, 20, 25, and 30 years. This list has been double-checked, triple-checked, quadruple-checked between a couple of different offices, so we know that these are legit terms of service, whatever. And Christy,
this name right here on the front.
you confirmed we don't have to do a...
No, you do not have to do a celebration because it's going to be taxed regardless, since
Okay.
it's a check.
Okay.
So you can just pass the checks out.
Okay, any questions?
Making for $26.50. The amount of tax, it's sales tax, but you know. Yeah, it's fine.
We did talk about this needs to be ran for the same month every year, just to make sure that people don't fall through the cracks. So we're perfecting this process.
Questions? Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the employee appreciation as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Ryan, go ahead.
Okay.
Or does Nancy need to go first, or is it?
It can go hand in hand, I suppose,
Okay.
Yeah.
for the most part. So as part of our contract terms for a grant, we had to submit our civil rights policy for compliance review to make sure that we had everything in there that we needed. We received feedback that we needed to make some changes. So this policy reflects some additional codes that we didn't have in. Of course, our old policy was from 2010. And some language access plan needed updated. It was outdated, and includes how to request assistance for disabilities or language. And Ryan can cover just as part of that for the complaint procedure. Some of the stuff that we included in there, he wanted to make some changes to the personnel policy. And anything else you want to add, Ryan?
Yeah. So as far as this first general policy on anti-discrimination, Nancy did a fantastic job of it. And a lot of the wording she had, I liked and thought it would be good to incorporate in to make sure the personnel policy and this policy are in alignment. And so, yeah, several of us have looked at what Nancy's done, totally on board, and kudos to her for her work on that. I guess we're also bouncing into my piece with the personnel policy. So the part that has the more extensive updates is this section 5G, which is our procedure for investigating a discrimination claim or a sexual harassment claim, right? And so this is a little broader than the policy Nancy has because it includes sexual harassment. But like I said, we were able to align the language, and that was the main change. And since we were in the process, I know we just did a fairly substantial update to the personnel policy in July, but in the last 3 months we found a few little things that needed clarification. So on my handout on page 4, I also made a fix to language on the introductory period. I had accidentally left it saying probationary period, and I wanted the language to be consistent through the policy calling it introductory period. So
What page is this and what section?
okay, recruitment and appointment, section 8.
Page 33 in your packet, John.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. So I was just changing the word probationary period to introductory period. to make it line up with the rest of that section. Just a minor change, no substance.
Oh, okay, I found it.
Okay, and then on the following page, on section 11 for compensation, this is one that Christy helped me catch. In the prior policy, we had mentioned that exempt employees can take leave in half-day or full-day increments. And that had been taken out of the new one. We just wanted to put that back in. It's the current practice right now anyway. Okay. So the next page on employee benefits. This is one we had talked about a few months ago. I sought clarification on it. And I was just kind of waiting for a moment like this to bundle it with other changes. Where you can see under vacation leave, it was just reworded to make more sense. Again, we're not changing the substance of what we're providing, it's just worded more clearly. Because I think there was some questions based on the way it was worded before.
I don't know if I've got any, but if you had some.
Yeah.
You think you're not gonna have questions anyway?
No. I mean, of course we will. Okay, and then, if you remember, there were some questions about wanting to clarify the part-time employees and the holiday pay, because we had discussed holiday pay and how it would affect the people like over at juvenile detention that are, they're considered
They sparsely work.
they're considered part-time technically, but they're not there every week, right?
It's the discussion we had before.
It's the discussion we already had, and we're just updating it according to what we had talked about. And then below that, under paid time off, I believe we talked about that just last week,
Yeah.
right? And wanting to clarify the language on that so we know that who it applies to, right? Anybody.
I like that language better.
And then I think finally was on the health and safety section. Actually, this was my intern, Tanner, this summer had been working on this and changed this paragraph, and I like the way he worded it better.
Right on those dates, right above the highlighted section,
On the, where?
right on the health and safety section.
Yeah,
I was just reading through that, and I wasn't really sure if that was supposed to say 2029 or
oh,
2009.
you're right. Yep, that date was another fix I was supposed to do. It is 2009.
2009?
Is it
I mean,
2009 or
no.
2019?
That was my next.
19, I'm sorry. Yes, you're good catch, Braden. I was gonna fix that too.
And then your date on the next page for the meeting.
Oh, yeah. I put November 14th because I wasn't sure if this was just discussion today and then on Monday you'd make a decision, or next week you'd make a decision. So I put the 14th, but it's up to you.
Do you need time to look it over more?
That's good. It's pretty simple.
I'm okay
Good.
with it.
Change that to today's date. 9th. Okay, anything else?
Any other questions from you?
No. Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we adopt the proposed changes to the policy as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that'd be to both policies, Nancy's as well?
Yep.
Yep.
Sign up on this one too.
She does not have a signature, she said.
Okay, what's this one?
Making changes, I can add a signature and just put it back on Tuesday.
Okay.
And just as a, for you know thing, this non-discrimination policy, the Title VI one, is for public, the general public, can include employees, and the personnel policy is the policy for employees. So they're one and the same, but they have to have a public safety notice and everything else.
Okay.
And not to tell you how to do things, but if you wanted to approve it today, she could provide you the signature page. You could sign it later. We've done that before. One last thing on the agenda next week. Just a suggestion, but
I will more than happily amend my agenda, or my motion to authorize signature upon receipt. How's that?
Either way.
sorry, I was just thinking it would save you.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. All right, Braden.
All right. I have on the agenda before you today, the formal adoption of our projects that everybody has been getting familiarized with and reviewing for the last week. And we are just seeking direction from the commission on where we'd like that money to go.
Okay. Well, I didn't send you the paper because I figured we we're still going to have discussions about projects and things. I'll just start in on the paper that was sent out with the ARPA. I'll just tell you where I kind of ended up. I put a 1 by the assessor going under the yes projects. I talked with Dan and I talked to Anita. The high vac and the counter are pretty much, to me, they need to happen. If you do the high vac, then you're gonna have to lower the ceiling and put new lighting in and stuff like that with the ductwork that would have to go in.
The 310 that was already
Budgeted.
approved, per the notes I have from budget, included paint, front counter, and HVAC. So I guess I should have made that a little bit more clear on the paperwork, but, so I don't,
So we'd be 440 is what we'd be adding, correct?
if,
Because we have the
Yes.
310.
if we do all of
Okay,
it.
and that's the way I did. I added the 440. The next one, I marked as a 1 also, the ambulance. If we're gonna move forward with the building stuff there, then I think that the ambulance is a criteria there for 500,000. On the fairgrounds, and I talked with Scott, and I talked with Dan both, we now have a full-time female employee that during winter months, there is no bathroom at the fairgrounds that's available without either winter or bringing heat into the current bathroom or something of that nature. You got a
Is
question?
she working down there very often? I thought she was still working.
But that's the question.
Okay.
That is the designated place for her, and where do we expect her to be? So that's part of the ongoing conversation we have with Scott and see what's going on. But I put $100,000 there, and I don't know if that's, but I marked it as a 2, but now that we got an employee and different things, there's a different situation. And sorry, but a female employee compared to a male employee is a lot of difference.
So it's a
Wait,
2 or
we
a
just
1 for
signed
you
this
now?
non-discrimination.
That one's a 2.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah, we're talking about this bathroom right here, right?
Yep,
Yes.
And so now you're at a
These
2.
are different.
I'm at a 2.
But at 100K, because I didn't mark everything that didn't have any money, I put a 3.
And that's what I said. I went and talked to different people and found out different criterias about it. Then the event center, or the camera system, I actually put 400,000. And the reason I did that is not just for the event center, but we needed at the fairgrounds, wherever we need cameras, with what's gone on out at Road and Bridge and planning and zoning, I think that it needs to be a priority. So I marked that as a 1. And I put $400,000 there, just, that angle needs to be looked at, and I didn't want to miss out on that. So that's where I marked that. The grandstand seating, I marked as a 1 at 125. The 2 boilers, I marked as a 1 at 350. The east entrance, I marked as a 1 at 750, and the east entrance and 6th Street and everything that needs to go on out there. Then the juvenile probation, I don't know what all we need to do there above elections and all that stuff, so I just put $1 million in there. It is what I did.
And that's a 1 for you also?
That's well, I marked it as a 2 because I don't know all that needs to go on. That's a second priority to me.
Me too. I put, it's my idea, and I put it as a 2.
Then road and bridge, the roof, I put as a 2 for 500,000. The wet cells, so that'd be 135. We're talking with Tony, that's a 1 for him. That's his number 1 out of everything that was there. And so that's why I put that there. And then the digital intercom system, that's 600,000.
675 or 600?
675 is what's left. We have 425 budgeted.
And, yeah, I just put 600,000 there.
And that's a 1?
And that's a 2.
A 2.
And so, actually, on my totals, I'm over.
You're over the,
I'm at 485,000 over the money that was
What we have to
allotted.
spend.
I'm in the red there. But that's going through there, that's the ones that I marked and kind of had thoughts about, and so, that was my feelings. Jeff?
I say go to John.
Okay, John?
Okay, well, I'll just run down my list. The first one at the assessor, I marked it as a 1 for 440. The ambulance bay, 2 ambulances and alerting system, I put it as a 3, and part of my thinking was that is I thought we had capital money set aside for ambulances.
well,
Now, why would we put ARPA money toward it?
because these would be ambulances above and beyond. We have about 500,000 that we could put from reserves, but the total cost of the project was going to be $1 million. So this was the remaining 500,000 that would
Right.
be needed.
Well, anyway, I put it as a 3.
Okay.
And then fairgrounds, the fairgrounds and move into arena, I put them both 3s because there wasn't any money attached to them. And so then the camera system, I put as a 1, and all of these, except one I'm going to tell you, I've used the same money that was put in there. So anyway, camera system 1, grandstand seating 1, cooler and parking area for the corner is a 1, 2 boilers and maintenance is a 1, the east entrance remodel I put as a 2, the HR suite and training room is a 2, the jury room bathroom is a 1, restroom refresh 1, new ag extension 3, planning GIS 1, veterans building, I put boiler 1, and the rest of their work is a 1. In juvenile probation, I put the restrooms, roof gutters, et cetera, as a 3. Now this is the one where I changed the number, is the remodel the ISP area above elections. I put 1.5. I know I didn't follow directions. That's for 600K. So I did make a adjustment on that. And the rest of my 1s, I'll just say the 1s, were the road and bridge roof, the wet cells, in the sheriff's office, the showers, the digital intercom, the 2 deputy stations in D&E pod, and the S&R building and temp boiler room. Those were the remainder of my 1s. I only put money toward my 1s, and I had a leftover. I still had about 14,400 I could use. That was my take.
You ready, or you want Jason to go?
Go ahead, Jason.
So I actually did similar to what John did. I only carried over the asked cost for my ones and left all of my twos and threes either with a question mark or left it blank. Question mark meaning that I could easily be swayed to put that to a 1, just with a little bit further clarification. So my ones were the assessor's office, the event center cameras and grandstand seating, the cooler and the parking area for the coroner, the 2 boilers. Now, my 2s that I feel would be amazing, and I want to put them as 1s, but is the east entrance and above elections. And I think that we have an opportunity, if we have the money, to do those. And I think that maybe the east entrance is probably more important, because I don't like people standing outside. But I think we would have an opportunity to rebuild that end of the building and tie them together in a way that we could have a really nice looking facility that with space to grow into the next 50 years. So then my next one, planning, GIS, new roof and facade, boilers for the veterans building.
Hold on. You're moving too fast. So, planning, GIS. Okay, got it. That's a 1.
Yep. And then the ceiling and foundation over at veterans building. Then the roof at Road and Bridge.
Did you say boiler at Veterans was also on?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And then all of the sheriff's asks that are 1s, wet cells, the showers, digital intercom system, the 2 deputy stations. I think that one is absolutely a must. As we've all stood out in that section, that it's a little bit frightening to me. And then the boiler for the S&R building, temp boiler room. I put as a 1, and I don't know that that one needs to be a 1. That's somewhere that we could scrape some cost potentially. And so basically anything that was a new boiler, anything that was a new roof, I put as a 1, with the caveat of we may need to look closer and just make sure that they do need to be replaced. But those are 2 areas that for deferred maintenance, I think this money would go a long ways. We put some long-term roofs, long-term boilers. Those are very expensive things that we won't have to worry about for a dang long time if we replace all those things right now. So, but that's something that we could pull Dan in, and I mean, I'm sure that the reason they're on this list is he thinks that they should have new roofs and new boilers, but there might be some that we could not do to get other projects done, like East Entrance. And I came up short also, so my total comes to 3.645 million, with a remainder of 769,000 ish.
We've gone through everybody.
No, I have no heartburn. My 1s, the assessor, I'll give that a 1. The event center camera and grandstand, 1. The boilers, the east entrance, finish the HR training room, the jury bathroom, 1. Planning GIS roof is a 1. Veterans boiler is a 1. And on the veterans, I added the roof repair and the ceiling foundation and left the brickwork as a 2. So the roof repair and ceiling are a 1. Those 2 total 57,000. Juvenile probation, left that as a 1. The wet cells are a 1. The digital intercom was a 1. The 2 deputy stations were a 1. The ADA doors were a 1. The booking shower was a 1. The stucco was a 1. And that left 851,000, and I left the 851,000 because of the discussion to, if we can build the forensic pathologist at the price that we had talked, that we wanted the ability to potentially look to build that bigger. So that is why I left the 800,000 for that potential. Assuming that if we can't, it's easy to roll over to some of these other projects.
So we all have a lot of them the same. So let's go through there on the ones that we have the same. We'll mark them and take them out as ones, okay? And I think that eliminates, then we can see what monies we have left, then we'll have a discussion on the other parts.
Right.
So do you have your computers up with that?
Britt does.
Okay,
I didn't bring mine, I didn't think about doing it that
so
way.
let's mark the assessor as a 1.
Okay, hold on just a second. I want to kind of track this as we're
Yeah.
going here.
Just put what's left over, so 400.
All right.
So 440,000 for it.
Okay,
So let me just put that in here. Okay,
okay, the next one that everybody had was, did everybody have the ambulance? You didn't, John?
I did not have.
Oh,
the
and I did the same assumption John did
I
on the
don't think
ambulance.
Jason had
was
the
3,
ambulance either.
because I forgot the total thing was the other, so,
Sorry, I should have clarified that.
no, that's okay.
Okay, we'll just come back to that
Information we
one.
got yesterday, I'll leave that as a 3 for right now.
Okay.
Everybody had the event center camera system as a 1, but you bumped it up by 300K. Everybody else was at 100K, I think.
That's right. And I don't disagree. If there's money, I definitely want to get cameras up there, but in today's society, good cameras where you can zoom in and see somebody's face, I think is important with facial recognition that the sheriff has. I mean,
Well, and the reason I.
There's so much damage.
I added to it was because, well, in the last month, we've had the vandalism down at the fairgrounds. And in the last month, we've had the vandalism out at the road and bridge and at planning and zoning. So that's why I added the extra monies there. I thought, and if we're gonna do it right now, we need the same company doing this, all of them the same, so that we don't have piecemeals.
different systems.
But we can just highlight that if you want.
So how much money should we put toward it? 100 grand for sure? Because we're all at 100 grand at
Right.
minimum.
Everybody at 100 grand, but
And then if there's money left at the bottom, we can dedicate that towards,
We can come back up.
Okay, so we're all in agreement of at least 100 grand.
okay.
Grandstands.
And was I the only one that had grandstands, or did everybody?
No, I had.
Everybody had
Everyone had
grandstands. I have it all listed here. as
Okay.
well. So at grandstands, everybody was a 1 on that one, so that's 125. And the next one where everybody was a 1 was the maintenance 2 boilers for 350K. And let's see, the next one where everybody is a 1 is, it looks like planning GIS new roof. No, is that right? Yeah.
No, I
think everybody
didn't
was.
have that one.
Who did, oh, you didn't, I'm sorry, my mistake. Yeah, you did not have that one, so I take that back. It looks like the next
Wet
one where
cells.
everybody is a 1 is the wet cells.
the veterans boiler, I think everybody was the one, weren't they?
No.
No,
I didn't.
Ernie was
You
not
weren't?
on
Okay.
that one.
I missed that one.
I missed
Wet
one.
cells was
So
the next
the
one. 100.
GIS roof was, everybody was a 1?
No.
Let me just back up
No.
here. No, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
I wasn't
Yeah,
there.
Ernie did not have that. I
Okay.
misread my
We're down
thing.
to the sheriff's stuff, right?
The wet
Yep.
cells. Everybody was one on the wet cells?
Yeah,
So
everybody was a 1 on the wet cells. And that was 135. I think that's it.
Showers? No, Ernie, you
No,
weren't?
nobody else had a 1 on everything, so there should be 4 1s on each one that they all had it.
So,
Ernie had 2 on the digital intercom, and then everyone else had 1s on that one. That's the next closest.
I'm sorry, run that by me again?
The digital intercom,
Mhm.
Ernie had that as a 2, and then
Yeah.
the rest of you had that as a 1, so that'd be the next closest unanimous project.
Are
so
you-
go ahead and put that one on there.
Okay,
For the 600,000?
675.
675.
675, okay.
And that is, let me just get caught up with you guys here. 675.
So we're at 1,825,000, right?
That's where I'm at.
Okay. So.
So the 2 deputy stations in D and E pods, there were 3 ones, and Ernie, I don't know where you put that.
Well, and I'm all for it, but when I went out and talked to Tony, Tony says, that's easy, just to budget out of our regular budget.
It's true, because it's a pretty small number.
Well, but we've already got 17,000, so do we want to finish it out with the 12
That was my thought, is just finish it out with the 12.
And,
instead of putting it off?
and that's, I'm agreeable to that,
Yeah.
So we can add that in?
yeah.
Okay, that's 1.837.
Okay. So, the ambulance, 500,000. Well, look, before we go there, the one that I was wondering, is because we've all said yes on a camera system, are we willing to invest more money there to put it in the other 3 places?
I am.
I am.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm not sure what the number is, though.
Yeah.
Well, my thoughts were if we were putting 100,000 up there,
I agree.
the other places,
I'm so tired. I went pick up my daughter from fishing 2 nights ago, and I walked by one of the bathrooms up there at the wellness complex and bashed in windows and plywood over the top of it. And I just thought, I wish we had cameras that would
and Scott was just telling me
see this, or at
before,
least deter it.
when I talked to him, he says the system, one of the systems they're looking at will identify license plates. And so if the sheriff's office types in a license plate, they can tell if that license has been in our lot in the last
Yep.
so long. and
That's what I'm
stuff.
talking about.
So,
So what's the number is the question. What number makes sense?
Well, if you pick a number, then we can just find out where all we need cameras and spend up to that amount. Because we probably could use some at the McCammon landfill, at the fairgrounds, at the road and bridge and planning in that complex right there. There might even be cameras elsewhere that we need to add to as a secondary. So say we use Ernie's number of
I'm fine with
another
your number, Ernie,
300.
and then we just use that as a
400,000.
base.
Well, total of 400, but another 300, because we've already dedicated 100.
no, I put 400,000 there, and you already had 100,000, so 500,000 would be the total.
No, there's nothing already budgeted to the cameras.
Oh, well, but, okay, so you want a
Yep.
total of,
Well, 400,000.
okay. So
400,000.
an additional, so we'll have to add a line on here.
So everybody's
For now.
cool with that? Jeff, you're cool with that?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Then,
I'll tell you one that I would just like to see get it all done, and that would be the Veterans Building. Just get it all done.
and my question there is, we're giving ARPA funds to somebody else, because we don't have control of that building.
But statutorily,
Statutorily, though,
we
that's
have
the
to
issue.
maintain.
But we have no say. We give the money before for different things. Because this is why I didn't put anything on that building, is because statutorily, we have a responsibility. Physically, we don't. We don't have a single say. We don't have a vote. We don't have nothing to do with it. And so, in my opinion, the group that is over it, that board, who is an elected board, who are they elected by, and them are questions I really didn't have answer to. And so, as I'm looking at that, why am I giving money to somebody else that we have no say about? That's why I backed off on it.
Yeah, and of course, my thinking is if there's any group that we ought to be obliged to and to take care of, it would certainly be our veterans. For whatever reason, that building has been allowed to deteriorate. Just, that's kind of like the same thing you talked about at the fairgrounds. It's just been allowed to deteriorate. You know, that is part responsibility of the board that was there. They have a new board now that is on this, that's holding fundraisers, trying to take care of things, but it is also, I feel, partly from the commissioners in the past who weren't paying attention.
Well, there's been a disconnect, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
But who elects that board?
The VSOs do.
And, okay, so here's something I gotta bring up for you then. So, are you on one of them boards, the VSO?
No.
Which board are you on? The secretary of or whatever? Because I get information from you about activities at that center.
At the Veterans Building?
Yeah,
Yeah, let me think about this a second. Okay, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Sons of AMVETS.
okay.
So I was the secretary of Sons of AMVETS. And when I became commissioner, I resigned from that job. So there's a different person now who does that. I've still been sending the emails, but I'm not on the board.
Okay, and that was another question that I was thinking about. Wait a minute. As a commissioner,
Right.
you can't vote on that if you're a part of that.
Another thing I'd say is, Sons of AMVETS was only within the last 2 years became a VSO. So they were not a part of all this long-term deterioration or anything. So for a short time, before I was a commissioner, I think for about a year, I was the secretary. And then after I became commissioner, I resigned from that.
But
Sometime after that.
yeah, and I'm just saying that since I've been on this board, we've been talking to them. They weren't talking about fundraisers until we told them, you guys got to do something.
Right,
You
right.
can't just come and ask for the monies. And so they're starting to prove themselves, but before that, they didn't. And these are the things that I was looking at when I'm going down this list. One is, it's not us. So the reporting is different. Because we got to get information from them about where they're spending the monies, or make sure, guarantee that they're spending
Yeah,
them.
we'll
We're
pay
paying the
directly.
invoices. We'd be paying the invoices,
Okay.
so.
And that's the other part I was thinking about, the reporting part of it. I wanted to make sure, it's not that I'm against any of it, it's just that when I'm going through this list, I have a lot of questions, and I want them answered, just like you said
Yeah.
before.
Well, also keep in mind, of the $4.4 million that you're allotting, 1.2 of that needs to be in expenditure category groups. And from what I see on this list so far, I've only got $724,000. So we need about another $500,000 in items that would be clean air or maybe providing 6 feet difference.
So everything on the assessor should be under that. If we're doing the high vac,
The HVAC part, but that's only 210,000.
and then if we're doing the counters,
The counters, is it going to prevent 6 feet difference? That's not going to improve that.
it is. It is. If we do it, that's the whole reason we're doing it, is to create space.
I thought she only wanted the counters for people to be able to write and to raise it so people could actually sit under it. But those people aren't necessarily 6 feet apart. So I don't know that, and you can tell me how to report because ultimately it's your name. But I don't think that's
Come
going
on.
to qualify for
Let's just make it so
a
that,
category.
they're
Well,
6 feet apart.
it is, the purpose is to give everybody room
Veterans 6 feet.
so that they're not elbow to elbow. Which is writing the checks, it's, because right now, they're reaching under the plexiglass
To write the
to write the checks. So we're giving them room,
Well, and actually with the plexiglass, that right there provides that separation.
but
But.
not really if you're reaching underneath. And I mean, I just,
Even if we say that does, the lighting isn't going to be
No,
an expenditure category. the fire suppression isn't gonna fall under expenditure
But
category.
But
Paint
isn't safety one of the expenditure categories?
No.
I was
Sorry,
thinking,
did not
I
bring
think, I was thinking that safety was one of the expenditure categories.
It's not. It's, I'd have to run downstairs and grab my book to get the.
Well, you
the
both told me
basic.
no, and so I believe you.
But anyway, so I've got 210 for the HVAC. We want to add however much is going to be the counters. Then that would add to this. I've got the 2 boilers. I think we can fit within that category. The wet cells wood. And I have 4 things. Where's my other one? Oh, I think I can get the deputy stations.
Deputy stations, I got that.
In there.
That-
That I have a question mark. I'd need to verify with Brian. Because in the past on ARPA projects, you had Brian and I meet, we would bring before the board what we thought fit, what didn't.
Well, and that's what I
And then
figured.
you ultimately make the decision.
After we get our hit list
Right.
here, then you guys will hit the check boxes and say, this fits, this doesn't. I mean, that's
Okay.
exactly what we
And then
did
if
with
we
the ball
have to come up
field.
with more expenditure category items, we'll. Okay. Anyways, I just wanted to point that out, that we needed some more items that would check those boxes.
Do you know which items check the boxes? Well, maybe we
I
should finish
think
this
that-
veterans discussion.
I think the air
before we-
handlers for the sheriff would.
Mhm.
Um,
Air handlers, where's that at here?
That's 140. I don't,
And so how much money total do we need to spend in that category?
1.2 million total.
And so the air handlers, 1.2 million, so the air handlers is 140, what else?
Those were the only things I've gone through.
What about rebuttal ISP above elections, is that gonna?
It'd be HVAC again, so.
That includes an HVAC? Do you know how much of that would be of the 1.2?
I hate guessing, but
I mean,
300?
okay, that definitely helps. So if we did, well, is that even an item that you guys want? Because I don't want to throw it in there just because it would fit in the category if it's not a project you guys wanted to.
Well, it's ones and twos, you know,
The
and a
east-
1.5, so.
But if we can't do all 1.2
Right,
million,
right.
get the whole thing done.
I think east entrance
But I'm just trying to find
qualifies
which things
if we
even
do that.
qualify.
Because think of the
Could.
entrance right now, because
Yeah,
they,
it could.
people, if it's raining or snowing or windy or cold, people are in that 6x6 area. I've seen 10 people in that. Because they can't stretch out at all,
Yeah.
because they don't want to be outside.
ISP would be offices too to separate, instead of just.
It would
big
be
rooms.
offices.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, I'm just trying to find, well, what even,
Right.
can we even
Right.
hit that number with the stuff we
Well,
have
if
here?
if everybody thinks that the east entrance is a priority, then if we throw that in there, then I think that would put us where we
Maybe
need
that
to
put
be.
us there.
The east entrance and part of this ISP thing, or just the east entrance?
Even just the east entrance, I mean, I'm at 724 right now. We add 750 to it, not counting the air handlers or the E-pods. No, I did the E-pods. But not counting the air handlers, the 750 would put us at 1.4.
And we think that,
So-
so, do we think the east entrance is more important than picking up all the offices we could pick up next door if we do that? That's my thinking on that. So the east entrance, I agree, that's a mess. But I'm thinking, you know, you can put like a cover over there that would at least alleviate the people standing out in the snow and stuff.
Problem with the east entrance, though, is we have flooding issues, right? With
Yeah.
water and ice.
Well, and I think that should be addressed too.
We
I'm
Track our
just
snow
wondering,
melt in.
if we pick up, because how many offices do you think we could pick up there above ISP, which would take us, care of us for years?
Yeah. We could put dozens. It's big.
And offices wise, I mean, if we have to do it with maintenance money too.
What's the total square footage up there on top?
If you include
backyard?
the rec yard, which I think would be an awesome training space, so we would, for example, my dream would be that Julie could do trainings, all the poll worker trainings up there 3 times a year. In that rec yard, which would be nice and finished, instead of going out to Chubbuck City offices, because it'd be about the same square footage as that room out there.
It's that big up there?
It's that big. Not quite as big. It's not quite as big, but it's easily.
It's about the size of this room, isn't it?
It's about 3 of this room-ish.
Is it?
It's pretty big.
I didn't think it was that big.
Maybe not quite 3.
Well,
Say
if you did,
1,500 feet?
Yeah.
if you did that up there, I don't know if, I mean, would you need the training room down here, or could you make that offices then?
Well, if we
On
had
the
that as a
first
training
Well, that's
room,
what
we
I'm
wouldn't
thinking,
need
is it
that one down
alleviates,
Yeah.
yeah, not only do we put the offices there, it solves a huge office problem
Well,
all over the place.
I can go over there and measure it.
And
with Dan.
eliminate some of
Measure
this
it.
stuff.
We're
for
gonna
sure.
have to add an elevator somewhere,
Yeah,
because that elevator that's over there.
no,
Can't be utilized.
But that's in the budget, that's in this budget, right?
The elevator's in this?
Yeah.
yeah, at the
That's
1.2.
included.
Is this the elevator that connects back and forth, or, I guess that's the discussion.
Yeah.
For a skywalk and an elevator and.
Well, you could do, for that price, you could do the skywalk and the elevator, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But, so if you took one of those out, you could still remodel that whole thing, do either an elevator or a skywalk. I personally wouldn't think you do both. You do one or the other.
I think with ADA getting up to that floor, for sure need the elevator,
You
but
gotta
to
have
access it at all, you
Yeah.
need the skywalk.
So it has to be an elevator?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna
Well,
have,
there you go.
if the public is invited to it, you need an elevator.
Yeah, then I would say elevator, you do the elevator, you remodel the whole thing. Personally, I don't know that we need a skywalk. And so that reduces some of the spending that goes into that.
Well, if it's offices up there, though, think of
Connect back
it
and
like
forth.
this. You could put the entire prosecuting attorney's office up over there and still give Julie storage area for the e-poll books and some of the things that she needs, where we're outgrowing that. You could put the entire prosecutors over there, and if they just walked across that skywalk
To court, yeah.
to court,
So,
and they'd all be in one room instead of some upstairs, some downstairs, some down the hall.
here's the hard question. Is that the best investment of our dollar to do that, or to build something different?
It's 70 years old, but it's a stout son of a gun, but that's a tough decision for you guys to make, but it's there, it's not being utilized.
So I have no problem putting the monies towards this, but I want to investigate where's the best source to put our money.
Well, if you were gonna go actual building per square foot versus a remodel, we would be 3 times that price to build the same square footage in a like kind type of way. So it's more cost effective to remodel this because it's got a good foundation. It's not falling down.
Okay, and that's all I'm saying is, I'm
Yeah.
willing to put the money towards this project, if this is the right project
Sure.
for the monies.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I'm just gonna be quiet on this one, so.
Okay?
So can we put the money toward that project then? So I'd say let's just put the full amount then, if we gotta have a skywalk too.
So 1.2?
1.2 million. Everybody's cool with that, right? Speak now.
Do I hear a majority at least speaking up?
Before I answer that, I want to check on the ambulances, what we think we can do with that. I realized that we got some information yesterday that kind of impacts that a little bit. So we said maybe 2, maybe 1. So that 500,000, can we afford that in the ambulance budget over the course of like 2 years?
It depends on how they function. So like this year, we were supposed to make them 12 payments. We only made them 11 and we still have a credit.
Right.
So that's what, $400,000 that's going to add to reserves that we thought we were going to spend.
And the previous year was the same, was it not?
Yes, I believe so.
Similarly. So,
If they continue to only need 11 payments, which I don't know that that's going to be the case, then yes, they'll continue to build reserves, and yes, then this 500,000 can probably be absorbed, because I already told you we have 500,000.
correct.
Pretty much have another 400,000, so honestly, your $1 million is probably covered.
Okay.
And that is a
Well,
non,
committed.
that's off the cuff. Yes, non-committed.
No,
I think you're right.
But let's go back to the ambulance then, because if we're building the building down there, we gotta have an ambulance go inside of it.
But you also gotta be able to staff it.
Uh-huh. But, so 500,000,
I'm okay with Christie's recommendation, because we're a couple years away from being able to put something down there on a full-time basis. And so I feel like that's an acceptable amount of risk to say, we can sit on that for a couple of years and plan it.
You might appreciate this, something I just thought of is, when I get year-end done, we can do a formal reserving of a certain dollar amount for that, if you would like me to. And then I can bring it forth before the board. You can do it's like what we do with the landfill. Right now, we have a reserved fund balance for expansion and remediation. We could do the same thing with the ambulance.
Okay.
well, it doesn't do any good to build a building and not utilize a building. That's just,
So do you want to zero that for this purpose?
I think we're okay.
Thank
To
you.
zero the ambulance.
I'm comfortable with that
Yeah.
decision.
And I'll make a
And-
note to,
Where did we end up on this 1.2 million? Are we putting that in or
Yes.
not putting it in? We are putting it
well,
in.
it's up. Are you okay with that?
Well, some of that will depend on what we decide with the veterans building.
Well, even if we put the 1.2 million there, we still have $1 million to spend.
1,000,001, roughly.
So, fairgrounds. We go back to that one.
So we're skipping over the veterans for now?
Well, I thought we I'm okay with the boiler,
So we could put the boiler in for
the
sure?
roof repair, ceiling and foundation.
That's 77,000 for all of that.
I'm,
So everything
Let's-
except the brickwork?
yeah, to start
Okay.
with.
So you say 77K in that column, right?
That's
Everyone's good with that?
Yeah.
All right, that puts us to a total, would that give us we still have 980,000 to spend if we do that. So I put 20,000 in the boiler, 77K in the various other things.
No, 57 in the various others.
Oh, it's 57?
total.
Yeah, because 25 for the roof.
Oh, yeah, you're right, 57,000. I don't know where I got 77. Okay. All right.
So,
Fairgrounds?
fairgrounds. My question, and I asked this to Dan, if we're gonna put two other buildings down there, what happens if one end of it, we put an office and a restroom? The fair board, the building that they were meeting in, are they meeting in the city offices now? John?
No, they're meeting in this shop, which is just ridiculous. I don't know why they do that.
Yeah, because they don't have any place. And that's why,
Well, yeah.
Because they have been meeting.
They could meet, I don't know why, personally, they're not meeting in the library. The library has a conference room down there. So, but whatever, I agree that what you're talking about, putting something nice
well,
down there.
and I'll have to look it up, but I was told that by state statute, they have to meet at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, somebody else said that the other day, and I was hoping that was not true.
That's what I'd heard, and that's why they was meeting where they was meeting. Otherwise, they could meet here in Pocatello,
Yes, they probably could.
you know, but I was told that they have to meet at the fairgrounds.
Well,
And I don't know.
Have to
it
find
doesn't matter, man, woman, or child that's working down there, there should be a bathroom,
Right.
I think.
I do too, and
So,
There's, I mean, there's 3 working bathrooms there that I don't know what they do as far as heat through the winter. But I would avoid adding on to the shop just because it's a pole barn. I wouldn't add an office or a meeting room or a bathroom to a pole barn.
What about the new buildings they're putting in? Are those pretty much pole barns?
So if we're gonna put new buildings in, the one that we've already purchased, I wouldn't put an office or a bathroom in there. It changes the building code. And so even the 2 that are coming up, we would have to change and make sure that we're up to code for what they're gonna use it for. And that was the question I asked Shanna this morning, is like, these are huge buildings. I would assume they're gonna use them for more than an ag purpose. So we would have to adjust the building plans, which would adjust the cost, but make them so you could have an office or a meeting or a bathroom in them.
they talked about wanting to have wedding receptions and everything else in
Yeah.
them, which is the same thing that we're talking
We gotta
about.
be really careful about what building we buy fits what they're gonna use it for. It triggers a whole bunch of building codes, is what it does.
Now, we still have the two buildings right here, and then the blank concrete where the one caved, right?
Mhm.
What would it cost to just build an office there?
You mean in the space that's empty?
Yeah, because that used
You know
to be
what?
an office. It
As I
was
look at
hodgepodge.
this thing, this thing that that is supposedly their office, you can tell me what you think, but I looked at that and thought this thing ought to be just torn down. And I'm
Yeah.
not big on tearing things down if I can help it, but it
Right.
just looked like complete junk.
Weren't they old army bunkers or something like that?
I'm not sure what they are. I know the part that fell down was built, I think, by volunteers and nothing, the two that are standing make me nervous.
Okay.
There is a bathroom in one of them. Like, we could utilize the plumbing on that end to make something, but I wouldn't put a bunch of money into that thing, because really
I think
all of that needs to come down.
long term, we want to look at trying to build a much better
Yeah,
building that would be useful for more purposes.
Right.
So remodeling any of this stuff that you have,
yeah, it's not.
I think it's a no-go.
I agree 100%. But
And so maybe that's not where we can, I mean, how much would it cost to put a decent thing there? And we don't even know what we really want. So
Yeah.
right now, I'm just not, I'd love to put something there, but I don't
Yeah.
think we're at a point where we know what we'd even put there and would it meet our long-term needs.
well, I go back to what you talked about the one time about when I talked about the school up there, and you talked about a modular building
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't we put a modular building down there somewhere that has the bathroom, has that was also a conference room
Well,
type deal,
yeah,
you know, big enough? I mean, I think of the classrooms,
yeah.
Yep.
like down at the school.
No, I would
at the
agree with
school
that.
and
Yeah.
something.
I think that's a good idea.
And so, how much money we got left?
$1 million.
And honestly, I don't mind if we stop right here for right now and then get some more information on that kind of stuff. Because, like I said, when I went out and talked to Tony, the wet cells were his priority. And do we have them on there?
Yes,
Yep.
Okay. And then his number 2 priority was the digital system.
and we have that on here.
And then his number 3 was the deputy stations, and we're all in agreement with that one.
Yep.
His number 4 was the showers. His number 5 was the air handlers, and his number 6 was the additional emergency power panels. So, but I think that right now, let's settle for a minute, let's visualize and everybody get this
Yep.
in their minds.
Redo this sheet and
And so,
And then have Christie and Brian kind of meet together, say what categories they fit in, so that we know what monies we're talking about still.
so if I understand you right, we're stopping with what's in here now. We're gonna add a line here to put a modular building at the fairgrounds as a possibility when we relook at what's left.
Can you get some
And
rough numbers on what
And
that
that's
would cost?
Fairgrounds
We're gonna
office
probably need a
project.
That's right. So
foundation,
we're gonna add that as a
right?
possible
To
thing,
pop- No?
Yeah.
but we're not making a
Okay.
it's
decision.
temporary.
Yeah,
this
I would like-
I'd be
trailer
good
house.
with all that.
Okay.
I think
So-
it's good, Pat.
If Dan can get us a cost, I'll try and meet with Brian next week, because I guess he's gone this week, so I can meet with him, see what we think about what would fit for expenditure categories, and then Dan can get a cost on modular down there, and then we can proceed with what we've got, right?
Yes.
Start moving forward with those, and then that other 100 or million, depending on what the modular is going to cost, if we need to come up with something else that's going to be in an expenditure category with that million, then we will.
Yeah, then it's gonna be easier for me to look at the courtroom and, you know, and the remodels and see where we're
We'll
at.
get a measurement. Let's go over there and measure that.
This week,
Maybe it's been a year since I've been up there. Maybe it's smaller than I remembered, but it's a wide, big building. Or the rec yard.
Yeah.
Well, I parked underneath it, it doesn't seem that big to me.
No, but it goes clear into the building. I mean, it's big.
Christie and Brian, Braden, one of you guys, I'm at 1,457,000 left. Is that, so we're all
Yes.
matching? Okay.
Yes.
And you'll send that out to us all?
Yeah.
Look at it again.
Great,
So
actually,
we start
that's
talking
right.
about all these different projects and numbers.
Right, right.
The only thing-
Yeah.
the only thing
No, I think this is
I'm
good,
getting
good place to
foggy.
start.
Add cameras.
at the bottom, but I can get that.
Okay.
piece of
All right. With that being said, we had an executive session at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
What's it about?
Hang on.
never mind.
we'll wait.
Oh,
We had two.
yeah.
Real quick, on claims for, I was holding on to the Booth Architect invoice for 6th Street
Uh-huh.
to see if that was going to be a project that we were going to approve. So I knew how to pay for it. You want me to go ahead and just pay it from ARPA funds, and then if we set up a project for it,
Well, we're going to on that entrance on 6th Street. I mean, they're both
okay.
on the same line, whatever we're going to do there. And it's another one of them deals that, how much money do we have? And that's what we can spend up to.
Okay.
We didn't formally approve 6th Street, though, did we? We just did the ISP area.
Mhm.
Does that incorporate?
Oh, well, I shut my computer off now,
no,
but
I
whatever
have
the
those
$1
as-
billion, that's where we left off.
Okay, I have those as two separate projects. I have the ISP area for
It is.
1.2, and then I have,
Well, that's what we was
6th Street.
talking about was 6th Street, and then we joined it
Right.
with
So we-
in the
I-
conversation.
I had
Past that 1 million, I didn't put anything as approved.
I didn't either.
I thought
So-
6th Street was approved.
No.
That's what I
Didn't have
thought.
it?
No,
That's what Jeff
it's-
thought.
It's not on there.
The numbers people didn't have it. did they?
Okay, how much money do we have on that?
Because we were debating what's the
I think
most
we were
valuable.
at 725 or 750 is what we had budgeted or estimated. So that would fit into what's left, but it hasn't been allocated in the
Well-
spreadsheet yet.
Put it on the list.
Okay.
When
So
you
we'll
get
look
back.
at it next time.
Well,
want me to-
no, I was gonna say, we'll just deduct that money,
So then we're down to 300,000, right?
350. Yeah.
Which-
Okay.
that
So
puts
you
us
guys are all in favor of, how much is it for 6th Street?
250.
750.
So Jeff, you're in favor of the 750 for 6th Street?
Yeah.
And then that leaves us 250 to play with.
250,
Okay.
500.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to make sure, so
No,
I'll set
no,
up a project
we
for
appreciate it.
this.
That's what I said, I was getting frustrated, or not frustrated, confused about what all directions we was going.
Well, now we.
Yeah, I just didn't want, I wanted to know how to pay that, and for all these projects that you've approved, we'll set up projects for it, so that we can track the money. We are gonna need some breakdowns, so for like, when we do the assessor's office, since that was approved, some of those items, like the paint, if we can pay that out of capital acquisitions, so we can, if Dan can work on breaking out all of those little items with estimate costs, then that way I know how much to set as a proof project, because it won't be that 440 total, which will leave some room for other stuff. Okay.
No, thank you very much. Oh. Shanda was gonna be here.
They're gonna bring them in?
Are they out there waiting?
I think so.
Oh, I apologize, I
I was
got,
gonna remind you,
Yeah,
but this, you guys are
I
going full
totally
board.
forgot.
no, I'm sorry, I
Security.
Oh.
totally
We were rolling.
was involved with other things.
I don't think you're the only one.
When we wasn't in an executive session, they could have come in, reminded me.
So we're still in open meeting right now.
Yes.
Yes. Come on up. How come you didn't walk in? You would have reminded us. We just going.
I just said, do you think I should pop in?
I kept looking.
We were waiting.
Marathoners.
All right. Well, welcome. We need to go into an executive session?
Yes, we would like to talk specifics about drugs and security measures.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we enter into executive session under Idaho Code 74-2061D.